Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Oh, and let's just say, third time's the charm, guys.
Yeah, we've spent all day on this particular video. It keeps getting hacked right at the end. And yeah, they don't want this coming out because, straight out, Cindy and I, we don't give you guys conjecture. We're sharing what we know. There's a big difference. We know that extraterrestrial, interdimensional beings exist. We know firsthand. We've had tons of experience firsthand, almost every single day. So this is not like we are theorizing. No, we know. And so there's a big difference in that.
Definitely, there are so many things out there that are not common knowledge and they're not talked about in households, and in fact, they're discouraged when we're growing up and we're in school. These things that Mike and I have experienced and witnessed, they just blow it off as if it didn't happen, or make you sound like you're a crazy person if you have experienced such a thing.
Oh, but the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. And please do subscribe to get content like this. To both channels, have that little bell notarized. But check in, because we will have a video up probably 360 days a year on one or both channels. So this was in South China, and you can see this is from a commercial airplane filmed at 39,000 feet above the South China Sea. These 3 rows of spheres, and actually it almost looks sometimes like there's more than 3 in there. Like right there, it almost looks like there's 4 there. They're information flying, and they were watched. As you can see, yeah, there's 4 there. In this one particular one, I asked Cindy to take a look in, and what do you see? What type of beings? Are there any beings? Are these drones, or are these actual craft?
No, I'm getting that they're smaller beings, and they're also somewhat translucent. And I just thought it was interesting when I looked at them. They're wearing these white shirts, so they're humanoid in nature. They seem nice, they feel nice, and they're blending in very nicely with the surrounding. Makes me feel like this could be like a plasma ship of some kind, with entities that also blend.
And the bigger picture is they're here for the show.
Yes. That's true. They're here like so many others. They're here to watch.
So we have the Navy telling Watchdog site releasing all UFO videos would harm national security. It would be a danger to national security. What does that tell you? If there's nothing here, why would it be dangerous? Now, they've come out and said that, well, hey, these particular sightings, and they pointed certain sightings out, we don't think it's Russia, we don't think it's China, we don't think it's any other nation, and it's not us, but we don't know what or who it is.
Nope.
So what does that leave as a possibility? Swamp gas from Uranus, perhaps?
Oh, no, not again.
Oh, boy. And meanwhile, NASA, never a straight answer, announces 16 people that are going to study UFOs to see what's natural, what isn't. Includes all sorts of scientists, as well as people from certain colleges, and also even Department of Homeland Security, National Geographic, etc., etc. Do you think we'll get a straight answer from all these people that are, of that degree and perhaps on certain payrolls?
Well, they all have the proper education to tell the truth, I'm sure.
Yes, to go along with the official narrative.
Yes.
And this is from the Daily Mail. Of course, you could take whatever you want from the Daily Mail with a grain of salt. But there are other sources that do talk about this. It's just they do it so well. They give you nice pictures. They give you nice videos and little maps. They kind of make it fun. But, the bottom line here is, again, you have experienced airplane captains. You have a former F-18 pilot, all talking about bright lights moving in circles or racetracks for hours in the sky while they flew on routes from Japan and Hawaii towards U.S. West Coast and in August and September. FAA, they say about 50% of all pilots have experienced encounters with UAPs, UFOs. There's something going on here, and we have 10 historic paintings that clearly show UFOs. Again, the powers that be want you to think that the earth is flat. This is what was given to us basically, from medieval times from the church, which if you disagree with the church, drawn, quarter, boil, and oil, what's your preference?
Well, they had to scare people like that because they needed them to have a belief system that didn't cause any trouble.
Yeah, they don't want you thinking there's any other life out there, because the controllers are life from out there.
And they especially don't want you to be able to communicate with those who can really help you, like your ancestors, your dominant guides, who can give you an idea of which path do you take with so many choices.
Yeah, thou shalt have no reptilian graven images. Yeah, why? Well, because then we get an idea what's going on. But we do have graven images.
Yes.
They couldn't get rid of them all. And when you look at the Annunciation here, you see Mary. This is, right before the announcing of Yeshua coming, Jesus coming. You see a circular UFO beaming a light down through the crown chakra, no less. And there's a little dove, the Holy Spirit signified as a dove, coming into the crown chakra from the UFO into Mary. Hello, this is from 1486. 1486. Now, there is so much debunking going on, even with this, with fact checkers saying, no, this is just a theological treatise here. Theological? Okay, so what's your thought? That God's an alien and a UFO, basically.
Yeah.
And that the Holy Spirit can be beamed down just like Scotty can beam you up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that anybody actually saw these things. They're just making it up.
Crucifixion of Christ, 1350. Great depiction of guys in ships flying by looking while there are angels watching. So there's a distinction there. Here you have your typical angels, and here you have beings in ships watching. 1350. This is 1710, the baptism of Christ. Again, another saucer beaming light down. Here we have 1400s. And you have the Madonna with a circular UFO over her left shoulder. This 1538 tapestry, again showing UFOs up in the corners. This one's in the mid-1400s. There's just so many of these. And they're always all about religions, too. I mean, this looks like a fleet of saucers in the background. Is this a depiction of the second coming? Yeah, what's that second coming gonna really look like? Because again, the true second coming is one person at a time realizing the Christ within, the anointing of the self within.
The Christ consciousness, it's a vibration, it's an understanding that we have more information, that we have light that we can spread to one another.
And in Ukraine, there's been a lot of reports of different UAP, UFO activity. They're always there when there's war going on. They're always there, too, when we have volcanoes going off. They're always there when there's major events taking place on the planet. And here we have objects traveling at 33,000 miles an hour. 33,000 miles an hour. 33.
There's that number again. Gosh, it sounds so familiar, almost like it's somebody's stamp.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because they say Jesus was crucified at 33.
I remember something about a 33rd degree Mason people.
Yes, the pinnacle. Or is it just the beginning of Masonic knowledge?
La la.
And then there's 33 vertebrae in the spine. And really, what is a christened person? Is it somebody that has been anointed? They anoint you with oil. Where did they put that oil? They put it by your third eye. Hello. And the awakening of the pineal gland is the real thing we're talking about when we're talking about christened. And Santo Spinacci has talked all about the cerebral spinal fluid and the traveling up through the Sushumna. Again, when we look to the staff of Mercury and Hermes, it's depicting the Ida and the Pingala, the Sushumna, The nadis, these energy circuits in the body that when awakened, they give us what you would call as extrasensory perception. But that's our normal state of being when we're not in a Kali Yuga.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. And these are things that definitely take time. And if you choose to take advantage of them, they take time to bring about the human body. But everybody has it. Everybody.
Yes. And so if we ever say something like this person's gifted, well, again, we all could develop abilities to different degrees. It is easier to rekindle something you've already had, and not everybody has been incarnated the same amount of times. Basically, from what we have gathered, about 2/3 of the people on this planet only know this planet in a Kali Yuga, as far as the souls incarnated at this time. That gives you 1/3 that have had lives on other planets and have experienced life outside of a Kali Yuga. So this is perhaps why you have the masses being able to be fooled and tricked and going along with the system, where you do have a certain group of people that just look through it and will never believe the system. You just know because you've experienced life outside of the system.
And you have this feeling that you really can't shake that what you're being told is not true. That's a really good sign that the pineal gland is opening up, it's awakening. You can see past the BS.
So, this was from the Mao. Yeah, that's the main astronomical observatory in Kiev. And it's an interesting Mao.
Yeah.
Mao.
Mm-hmm.
We are all living no longer in America. No, we're all living in China now.
Yeah, Mao.
Yes, a significant number of objects whose nature is not clear, traveling again twice as fast as intercontinental ballistic missiles, but there is nothing to see here. Don't worry, the fact checkers have checked it out for you. Yet, it's nothing new because we had the Foo Fighters watching these battles in World War II, and it's very well documented. And, the Foo Fighters, and I don't mean David Grohl, I don't mean the music group. These things, these spheres, these lights. Now, Cindy and I have had close encounters with Foo Fighters all the time, and we've been able to document quite a bit of it. And I just got a small sampling, and this is where we're running into problems with the videos because they don't want us showing what we've captured. But we didn't capture this. This was in the 1940s and World War II. But you can see other people did. And, it doesn't have to be Christmas time in the city to have silver balls floating in the air when you have a war going on.
Oh, thank God.
Silver balls.
Yay. Hooray.
Silver balls.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It's Christmas time in the Third Reich.
Yeah, that doesn't quite go, but it's all good. It's all good.
Jingling. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm back. Anyway, as the Allied armies ground out new gains in the Western Front today, the Germans were disclosed to have thrown a new device into the war. Mysterious silvery balls, which float in the air. We kid you not. These are silvery balls floating in the air. Pilots reported seeing these objects, both individually and in clusters. I'm trying not to giggle. During forays over the Reich. The purpose of the floating balls was not immediately evident. It is possible that they represent a new anti-aircraft defense instrument or weapon.
Somebody had a blast writing this article.
This dispatch was heavily censored at Supreme Headquarters. Don't let them know about the silvery balls, guys. There's one. See, there's one. Floating mystery ball is a new Nazi air weapon. Yankees call them Foo Fighters. Mystery flares tag along with U.S. night pilots. Mama, foo. Yeah, you see, all the bombs dropped, the ship sunk, and got to keep count of the Foo Fighters. By the way, talking about Oumuamua, and one of the people that first was talking about it and saying this could be an interstellar ship of alien origin. This is a Harvard scientist, Avi Loeb. Now he says, according to a new study that has just been released, there may be 4 quintillion alien spacecraft buzzing around our solar system.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
But don't worry, the firmament will block them out.
Yeah, I mean, it's all written. Everything's been written, and we all know the truth.
We know the Earth is the center of the universe. The Earth is flat. Don't fall off the edge. And the firmament will make it so that nothing could enter. You have nothing to fear. God's in that cloud right over there, floating over there.
And definitely has a white beard and a white cloud.
Yeah. But it's interesting because we have found that when we look to El, the word El, and we remote view the energy of El, and now El is the supreme Canaanite deity. El is also a word that's used in the Hebrew Bible to denote God. What do we find? We find some sort of creative energy there in a cloud-like phenomenon. So that's really curious. And again, you got to realize that even the Bible itself, the original books of the Bible, it's channeling. It's channeling. And of course, the controllers have gone in and rewritten and revised everything, changed the entire messages around to suit their agenda. You know, it would be very naive to think that they wouldn't be able to control the most published book of all time. And yet they can control all the media, the scientists, all these different scientific divisions like NASA, like NOAA. We could go on and on with the control grid. Here we will look critically at anything that comes from the WEF, the UN, from, all these different groups, the TLC, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, everything that happens at Davos. Obviously, we could look critically at that. But then there's people that believe that every single word that's in the Bible is the literal word of God, even though you can find thousands of revisions and edits. And even though we don't even have complete copies of these works, not for hundreds of years after they were, the event supposedly happened. Yeah, the controllers can't rewrite that, but they could control everything else. That defies logic.
Mm-hmm. You think of all these alphabets and the government who really, really begs for you to believe every word that they say when they have these ceremonies. They have somebody's hand on a Bible because that must make them honest. Yes.
Well, if you look at it from the point of view that if you were an extraterrestrial interdimensional species controlling a planet, wouldn't it make sense to get the people on the planet that if you wanted to control them without being physically there and doing all the work yourselves, but actually have them control themselves for you by selecting certain people on that planet, certain lineages, certain families that perhaps have been interbred with some of your own, so to speak, wouldn't it really make sense to convince them that there's no life anywhere else, that the Earth is the center of the universe, there's only the Earth, that maybe, all the stars are not stars that have planets that are circling them, which could have life on it as well, but that they're just luminaries, and yet don't define luminaries. Just say they're things, they're celestial objects, they're lights in the dome. They're lights in the dome. Yeah, no. That's, of course, that would make perfect sense. You would also recognize that humans have innate abilities with, certain senses that we would call paranormal or extrasensory in the Dark Age, but in the other three ages are able to be used by humans. Now, you would, brand anything that would make those abilities heightened or come out or acknowledge that they are really senses that we do have. You would have to label that as something like witchcraft, something evil, something to be fearful of, and something to be averted at all costs. Well, that's exactly what we got.
Yes, and those labels are one of the most important things, and especially the schooling, especially the boxes that they make us put our belief system in. All of this is to keep their matrix going. It's to keep their show going. So when you look at it through that perspective and without fear, because that's the main ingredient is fear. fear. If you don't believe this, you're going to burn in hell for eternity. That's really kind of cruel to say that to little children. Those are not nice entities.
Absolutely. And that is one of the biggest parts of their whole program. It's their ace in the hole. Is, yes, okay, we can't trust the media. Yes, okay, we can't trust the politicians. Yes, okay, we can't even trust our DRs and the nurses and everything. Because again, it's all part of the control system. But then, no, you can't even trust those things that you were taught as far as a belief set by your parents and by your elders. And again, Buddha said, don't trust anything because I tell you. Don't trust it because your parents did, or your elders, or religious people, wise men. You got to learn for yourself. Got to weigh it with head and heart. If it makes sense and it resonates, if it feels good to the core, and it doesn't seem to harm others, then you can embrace it. But you have to just don't take things blindly, because again, blindly following another that is blind is going to lead you off the end of the cliff eventually. 4 quintillion alien spacecraft buzzing around our solar system. That's a lot to think about. But then again, in the Hindu Vedic world, when we look into the Puranas, they do talk about hundreds of thousands of different humanoid species in the galaxy. They understood in terms of light years the distance in the Milky Way galaxy. How did they understand these things? Well, how does a small little tribe in Africa understand that there's a star there that you cannot see with the naked eye? There's no way that you could know it was there, yet it was verified just in the last 40 years. They knew all along that star was there. Again, this is stuff that's been handed down to us from other beings of a benevolent nature that have told us how the universe works. So the controllers, they have their people all around us in different positions of power. How many of them are really exactly like most Homo sapiens? I think the illusion's wearing off. We're starting to see through things. How can people do certain things to their own kind? You got to wonder about the atrocities that were done in World War II. The atrocities that are going on right now. It's because ultimately, the ones doing the atrocities are not human. They're not from here, and they don't view us as one of them. They view us as sheep and cattle. How many ranchers have a problem branding their cattle? Not too many. They'll brand them. They'll put a mark on them. They'll put a mark in a certain spot on cattle, just like marks on foreheads or on, hands and arms. This is all part of the system that we find ourselves in. And so, wow, there was a whole bunch more. Where'd they all go?
This is what we got. We're going to finish it. This is what we got.
So I wanted to share some photos with you guys. Here we go again. This is a tall gray that's been screwing with us. I had like 20 photos up for you guys, and they just don't want us showing these photos. And here you can see something up in this top corner. As soon as I do that, it's gonna go away. Here we go again, guys.
The video, maybe we just end it here and do another video starting with all the photos.
Yes, this was our update from Mount Shasta, and we didn't even know. It was somebody else that said, you got something that came into the photo. And so if you look right at noon, you can see that there is some sort of craft up there. But again, this is going to have to be our final go with this for this attempt. So we'll leave this one at this.
Let's leave it right here.
We'll leave it right here, and we'll dig up the photos. And if we have to go through all the videos, we could go through all the videos, line them up, and show you where these different things are in their videos that we've made over the years. Because Evolutionary's been around for 6 years, and really there's been probably about 3,000 videos in total. There are many that they have taken down. There are many that are private at the moment too, because they are always looking to get rid of evidence of themselves. The bottom line is, though, again, Cindy and I know, we're not theorizing. We know, that because we've had direct interactions with these beings, direct. We've seen them. We've interacted with them. And, there are benevolent ones out there. And this is truly an interdimensional, and Sita's noticing something out there. Interdimensional battle, in that it really is the definition of spiritual warfare, is one of multi-dimensions.
It is, it's just, we'll make another video and we'll put all those photos in the very, very front so that we don't run into this anymore. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and leave it here. And we do appreciate your guys' support on every level. Patreon, Ko-Fi, everyone. You support us in every different way. And believe me, we are grateful and we thank you.
As always, guys, much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.